Kleiner, Perkins, Caufield and Byers. And Tim Chang, Managing Director at Mayfield Fund. And these pair are sort of giving us the view from the balcony today. They're very seasoned venture capitalists. Bing also spent 25 years at Electronic Arts, and Tim has had some very interesting investments over time as well. Your joint, I guess, investment was Ngmoco. DNA bought that company for $400 million. Bing's going crazy again. Tim also had a very good outcome investing in Playdom, and Bing is on the board of Zynga, Amazon as well, right? Yeah, pretty good outcome. We're moving on to sort of 2.0 and 3.0, and we're very interested in your opinions here about what's to come. First, though, how do you look back on these investments in Ngmoco and Zynga and Playdom?
With pride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I don't even look back at my high score pages, so, keep looking forward.
Mm-hmm. I think with sense of relief, too, and gratitude of right time, right place.
Got a new job.
That's very much, yeah. Speaking honest, I think there were definitely lucky timing mechanics involved in some of these as well. There was a wave of good exits, and there were a lot who didn't get out in that time period. More sense.
As investors, there's this bittersweet moment. It's a little like sending kids off to college. If the company gets sold, it's awkward to meet with them anymore because they now have proprietary information. So you can have beer and not talk about work after talking about work prior to the beer. Don't cry for me, Argentina, but there is that bittersweet moment of success. And when things are good, I worked for the company for a couple of years, spill out and call us back.
Yeah, exactly.
Sequels are good in our business.
Yeah. So your newest joint investment is investing in Ouya. So talk about why and how is that going for you?
We like it. I talk about why I got involved. I hate hardware. I'm not even sure I like atoms. Being in the sitting in some e-commerce meetings for a big company, it's just hard to believe that the strip malls and shopping centers are going to survive in the future. I'm not a fan of geography-based education. And so atom-based gaming seems going in the wrong direction. On the other hand, I did things in universities at Stanford and USC and Carnegie Mellon, and there are always about a third of the students in the class who wanted to do something independent. They didn't want to do the AAA epic games where you design the game for a couple of weeks and then build art for 2 years. They wanted to be really hands-on. And even some of the people at USC who did that game company, they never really had a home. And so I got excited by the idea that Ouya can be the Sundance Film Festival of gaming. So far, so good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
There's a lot of hobbyists that are interested in hardware these days, and it seemed like Ouya tapped into that. I guess.
Well,
3D printing grays, do-it-yourself.
Hobbyist is just a kind of a sneering way to call them oracles of the future. I once went to the West Coast Computer Fair, and people could. The other days of video gaming, the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times could prove that video games had no future. People want to say the same thing about.
I say the hobby shops don't seem to be the richest retailers on the block these days. It's always like folks at Amazon.
I don't know. But I know people who would consider that most stores are hobby shops. Anybody know someone whose hobby is shopping? But the cool thing is, you did ask before, how do Tim and I back channel on stuff. So it's been fun to be in board meetings, especially when an entrepreneur says, "I really like Tim. He does this kind of stuff, Bing, that you don't do." And I hope he's saying, "Tim, yeah, I really like what you and Bing about because Bing does the stuff you don't do." And then we compare notes. And it's always nice to have someone to compare notes with when their notes are good. You don't want to take somebody's class notes or they're in class and they misspell everything and get the formulas wrong. But if somebody's a good note taker, they're nice to check in.
So how does that conversation go like before you take the plunge?
Well, I think, we compare notes on where the company could use help, because it's obvious to see the good things and the potential that could be, but you spend most time after you write the check on helping the company, and it's good to be on the same page of what they need and where we collectively help them out. That's usually recruiting. Are there any holes in the management team? Are there any key partnerships that we might be able to help them think through? Are they thinking through product strategy correctly, or at least know where the points and the decision gates are, that sort of thing.
Tim says, "Hey, Bing, you cover Michigan, I'll cover Asia."
So Bing, you have said we're in the golden age of gaming, but I guess not everybody's sort of universally happy yet. Zynga has gone up, but it's also gone down. So where are we in collecting all of the gold?
Let's see. I think there's the most important goal is still time. And if you'd have told me in the 80s that 20 years later, or 25 years later, 70% of Americans were going to be gaming every month, I would have thought that was crazy. So in the 80s, even into the 90s, in the 80s, you could play every great game and still have half a year off. You could finish every great game. In the 90s, you could finish every great game in a category. For the last 13 years, you can't play all the great games. So the quality keeps impressing and improving. And the dough, I think game makers are increasing their rate of total gross national product faster than any other creative industry. I got a first-hand view of writers. I believe that creators in general are going to keep making money, but they have to change their job. Keep making money while the distributors and publishers get creamed. I think game making is the new MBA. So if you have any friends thinking about getting an MBA, tell them to go to Carnegie Mellon or USC instead. Way more valuable. And you have better art on the walls.
Yeah, there's some folks starting accelerators or incubators out there now, and the primary kinds of people they're recruiting are game developers because they've sort of proven themselves on the app stores. And then they want to sort of take them and take them into new territories or new worlds.
Well, I think any game maker, any designer, game product person willing to put on half a three-piece suit could find a way in every Fortune 500 company in America. I don't think you can run a consumer-facing company these days without having game competence.
Is this a sort of gamification of everything else, or what do you call this, I guess?
Well, there's skill sets and competencies that come from game design that are applicable to every business, whether it's analytics, behavioral analysis, freemium conversion, optimization, all these things which will be the new core competencies, I think, in every Fortune 500 company. Today we've needed developers, next up those designers. I've predicted 5 years, every company will be looking for, habit engineers or behavioral designers or things like that. That such a thing doesn't exist today. Where would you find them? Probably ex-gaming people.
Habit engineers is kind of a cool meme. Yeah. It sounds like bad science fiction.
There you go.
Mom, I took a new job. I'm a habit engineer.
Behavioral designer.
So Tim, you invested in Badfield, and I think you didn't. I guess you guys are not always in sync. Do you share, say, the same views on gamification?
Well, a lot of deals do allow for syndication, but most deals these days actually don't, because entrepreneurs don't want to, give up enough dilution to allow 2B season to run out. So there'll be a lot of times where we have to do single-handed deals. We actually generally tend to prefer to syndicate because we like more brains around the table. But that was one where there was only room for one VC, but it was just a guy I'd known from before.
Yeah, I met Chris along the way as well. I like him. There's you got to pick your moments in time. I think when that was happening, I wasn't answering the phone a lot. But Tim and I have shared notes on other likely prospects, some of which neither of us have gotten involved in, some of which one of us got involved in. But he's high on the automatic call list.
Yeah, I think there's not that many of us who I think focus in this area and have long expertise in it. So it's a nice little collaborative.
I go up and say, Tim, if you let me invest in this, can I sing a solo?
So maybe we could level up a bit and talk about the future of gaming. What do you think the game business is going to look like 5 years from now?
I think 5 years from now, 10% of Westerners are going to be wearing some kind of augmented reality glasses. Pretty sure it's not going to be Google Glass 1.0. And it probably won't be. It probably won't be, Watch 1.0. But it's getting instant feedback. People can't give instant feedback. There aren't very many people with NFL quarterback skills or with great teaching skills, and machines give instant feedback. It's just it's too seductive. So I think we're going to see augmented reality of some kind or another. I think it's just too powerful not to get there, especially for a multitasking generation. And I hope we continue to see games designed by designers and not where the design is very separated from the art and infrastructure.
What do you mean by that?
Ryan Reynolds, when he first came over and worked on Frontierville, said, my life as a designer has sucked recently. I build a game and then I wait for the artists and 3D guys to build it for a year and a half and I have nothing to do. And then I show up at the end and I have something to do again. And that's what I mean. It's great for the designers to be able to, like a playwright in off-Broadway tryouts, to go home and rewrite a few lines every night. The Saturday Night Living of games.
So what do you think about the future?
There's a few angles I've been thinking about. One is, I think, in line with what Bing's saying, we're going to have reality augmented, and we'll also have alternative realities, which I think wearables and all these allow you to have. One is sort of the alter ego or aspiration life you wish you had, the Dragon Slaying hero and doing kind of things, and persistent games that are multi-platform. The other is take your real life and gamify and make it more interesting. So I've kind of got this acronym, but I think there's sort of 5 areas that game mechanics can help you, plan your life, simulate alternative futures, and help you even with self-development of your life across, I call it spice, but there's the spiritual aspect, the intellectual aspect, the physical aspect of your life, the emotional, and even the communal or social levels, right? These are all areas that could be gamified or improved, or that you could, think of yourself like a real-life sim. If you had a dashboard for yourself in these different dimensions, how would you want to improve,
I'm wearing my up band, so, as we learned in Moneyball, you just need new sensors, new data.
Tim and I have basis bands.
Yeah, similar kind of speed.
So, what is the next $1 billion idea in that list? Are you going to keep it to yourself?
What's the next one that's going to exit for $1 billion? Somebody's going to, there's going to be a multi-billion-dollar business in a location gaming platform. Let's see. I think the living room is going to get reinvented. We'll see what kind of haptics and body awareness happen. I think that stuff's unpredictable because you never know what people are willing to put on their body. I think the dating apps are a different kind of game with a different kind of scoring system, and they seem to be getting reinvented.
Yeah, Tinder is the ultimate social game.
What do you think of the mobile game companies and the valuations they're getting now? Do you think they're going to get hit by gravity?
You know, everything's going to get hit by gravity. Gravity sucks. You know, in a hits business, I've been involved with hits. When you have a hit, you just can't help but believe that you deserved it, and the next thing is going to be as good or better. You know, you grow up in America, you kind of think America deserved it. And America 2.0 might be like a Hollywood sequel that does 50% worse. So all hits have a tendency to revert to the mean. And you know, the other thing is, look at you, you've been doing this a long time. Most people who have one creative success don't have a second. They get changed, they get lazy. They buy a house and they go to the pub, and you know, they buy a convertible. So the success usually predicts reversion to the mean.
Yeah, I think that's right, especially if you're living on other people's distribution platforms. I mean, we've always had the hope that if you're creating new franchises, maybe you can kind of create new distribution power along the way. It's not always the case, but wouldn't it be nice if you're creating not just a hit movie, but you could own the theater chains as well? That's always the hope on the new platform side, but that's a very rare case.
I'd say that my experience with creators is your first success, you tend to create for your success, for yourself. And then the second time, you know, it turns out now you're rich and famous, and there aren't many people like that. And so creating just for the rich and famous doesn't work much unless you're Robin Leach. So to sequel your success, you have to start having empathy for other people. And just as you're emerging as a rich celebrity, it's not a great time to learn empathy. So there it's really important to have friends beat the shit out of you.
The audience is having this experience that I am where Bing speaks really slowly and Tim speaks really fast. And after each one says something, I have to sort of think for about a minute before I understand what's just happened. It's very interesting sitting up here. That's why I'm not asking very many questions.
Question now, you will.
So, Bing, you've watched, I guess, the console industry evolve over decades here. And you sort of set up a bunch of rules for the, I guess, each generation. Things that happen, like, say, most of the consoles sold in a generation are sold at $99 or under. It's kind of a rule, I guess, maybe. What do you think the rules are for this generation? What's happening right now? And I guess I mean a generation of everything, everything related to games.
So I think rules always come. There's marketing rules, there's Moore's Law rules, and there's user behavior rules. So to me, the most important user behavior is ADHD media, short session, interruptible. So an app that you don't think you can complete while you're waiting for the don't walk sign to turn walk, it has trouble. And people under 30 are trying to get more into their 30 free hours a week. So if you build a game that's kind of like going to a movie theater or a full-on immersive game that you play solo, you're fighting an uphill battle. So ADHD consumers, I think mobile everything and with taking advantage of all the cool new stuff coming in the pocket mainframes. And then marketing does matter. So whoever's going to spend $100 million trying to create a meme needs to be attended to.
That's right. It's great designer quote once. He said he used more scatological terms, but he basically said you should optimize your bathroom break length.
So with marketing matters, what's an observation you would make about the PS4 and Xbox One right now? Xbox One seems to have gone for this advertising the broader entertainment value of the system, justifying the higher price too. Whereas PS4 has been about games.
So You know, so I lived through watching the 3DO try to be the Be Everything box at a high price. Sometimes history repeats, sometimes it doesn't. I think the watchers don't get the importance of Xbox Live. I think Xbox Live is one of the most important consumer inventions of the last 15 years. I think iTunes and the App Store is another equally earth-shattering invention. And I think once you get a profile and badges and gamer score and achievements, you just don't change. So I think the network effect trumps all, and we'll see. We've seen incumbents grasp defeat from the jaws of victory before, and I think Microsoft has maybe lost its secret weapon. But having 80 million people who respect what you've achieved is hard to give up. I don't know. I kept paying Blizzard a couple of years without. I can't even remember how to get into my WoW account. And they got money from me for 2 years, even after the thing got hacked and ripped off about 5 times. So, and I think Xbox Live is a more valuable set of assets than my Blizzard account.
Yeah, I think that's right. It might help you stay above gravity for a little bit. If you can really have game as a service or device as a service, that as a service part is nice because we often get lazy. We forget to cancel accounts or they just auto-renew and you keep rolling into each other. One of my companies, Lumosity, is doing really well with the subscription model. Brain training games.
Does anybody have a question in the audience for Bing or Tim? Both of them? We have room for one question.
I do. Good question. The traditional, I'm sold out already. The traditional game console things, now that's still a huge market comparing to the mobile game. You talk about all the in-app purchase and advertising, it's still much smaller on the mobile or tablet. However, the game console, as you know, it's a humongous market. What do you think the transition from the current state of art of the game console transition into, and how it's blended into the mobile world?
No, I would say I think the newspaper business predicts the future of the packaged goods video game business. They built a business with paper, trucks, and return rates. And, it's hard to own the New York Times building when most of your assets are in printing presses and trucks. But again, it's kind of shorting atoms. The game makers will survive, and I think publishing and distribution models tend to be appropriate for moments in time. And I think it's no surprise that kind of the next generation taking over the traditional packaged goods businesses have no allegiance to retailers and trucks and manufacturing plants.
People demand the kind of conferences that are different. Hardcore players will not want to play that kind of games on your iPhone or tablet.
No, I'm not really sure.
Right?
When I
They're the one who pay a lot of money to buy games. I mean, come on, let's face it. The game experience is completely different on console versus tablet versus mobile.
So look forward to your panel.
We gotta wrap this one up, but you guys can talk for hours.
Hey Dean, congratulations on your continued success and contributions to the business.
Thank you very much.